Android versus iOS is nowadays more a lifestyle battle than an OS comparison, judging from comments on the internet. So we wisely decided to poke this fire once again with this video. So, what were the 5 most important things Android had before iOS? Let's find out. This was exactly what you would have seen on an iOS device before iOS 3. In fact, versions from 1 to 3 of the Apple's mobile OS only supported a plain black background, not exactly a customization beast. On the other hand, Android has always had the possibility to choose any photo as a background, and has soon introduced custom live wallpapers. Up to date, iOS still doesn't have those, and no, the parallax effect on stills does not count as custom live wallpapers. When we nowadays compare smartphones, multitasking capabilities are one of the first things taken into account, but it hasn't always been that way. In fact, it took Apple 5 versions of iOS and 3 years from the launch of the OS to introduce multitasking. Android has had it, with all of its limitations, since version 1.0. Widgets are amongst the most useful features ever seen on a mobile OS, and tons of manufacturers implemented them even long before the Android and iOS supremacy. Apple kind of introduced widgets back in iOS 5 with the weather and stock widgets in the Notification Center, but that has been as much as you could get on iOS until iOS 8, which finally gave developers and users a whole lot of new possibilities. Once again, Android has had it since 2009 with version 1.5, allowing both first-party and third-party widgets almost immediately. By the way, if you're interested in some sweet iOS 8 widgets, we'll have the links to our favorites right here. This might seem like a minor feature, but before iOS 7 came out I remember how painful and slow it was to activate or deactivate Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, set the brightness and so on. It turns out that at the time Control Center was introduced, most Android manufacturers have already been implementing quick toggles for years, improving them year after year, up to the fantastic Lollipop quick toggles. As for many other items in this list, iOS 5 was the turning point. Before that, not only did you have to update your phone via PC, but you also had to back up and transfer data via PC. Needless to say that Android has had Wi-Fi sync and updates since forever, and has reached by now fairly advanced levels of settings and customization for each account you want to sync. These were our 5 favorites, but there would have been a lot more to mention, like offline dictation and third-party keyboards. However, we leave you with a question. Does earlier necessarily mean better? Let us know in the comments below, and definitely hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. This was Joe from the Red Earth, and I'll see you in the next one.